Good morning to you. This is Angela with Parkos Permaculture. Welcome back to the next part of my abundant food forest permaculture garden tour. 11 years of permaculture in Portland, Oregon. I actually am in a little bit of a funk because I filmed the next 3 segments of the orchard tour only to discover that my phone storage was full and none of them saved. So trying again, and hopefully this version will be even better than the one that was lost. So if you are new to my channel, I bought this property 11 years ago with my husband, and we have 4 children. At the time we had 3. The backyard was weeds and not much else. And we have turned it into what you see here. So I do most of the gardening. My husband is a wonderful help with the grunt labor. He is willing to help me with any project and has been a wonderful support in helping me live out my crazy dream of living in a permaculture paradise. So let's go over this section of the orchard today. So I just finished talking about the rain garden and the veg garden, annual veg, and now I want to cover this first section of the poultry paddock. So we have a 3 paddock system. I've talked about it before. Chickens are such a strong force of disturbance that they, if they are left in one small area for too long, they will just obliterate everything with their scratching and pecking. So we move them around from this area to this area to this area and give each section a chance to rest and regenerate, so that we are using the chickens and ducks as an accelerated disturbance force to speed up the breaking down of organic matter. We aren't letting them destroy everything, and that has worked the best for us. So we use free fencing that we get off Craigslist and by the side of the road, and do everything as cheap and freely as possible, but we do have this area fenced. So I want to talk about the fruit trees and the things that are growing on in this part of the garden today. As we walk down to the entrance to the poultry area, we have a gummy berry, Elaeagnus multiflora, a black currant, underplanted with nigella and yarrow and native violets. There is a native black cap raspberry tucked back in here. We've had very heavy rain the last several days, so a lot of things are knocked down, and a lot of things have sent up a lot of vibrant new spring growth, early summer growth. And so as we go into this part of the orchard, things are going to seem very wild and very overgrown, and some things will be falling over. So this black currant is loaded with fruit. Black currant is a great permaculture plant. It smells lovely, produces tons of edible fruit, easy to grow, propagates easily by cuttings. You cut a piece off and stick it in the ground, and 90% of the time it will root. Okay, so we're going to go in. Everything in here is very densely packed. I grow things close together because we only have 1/4 acre. Someone recently asked me, how do you fit 40 plus fruit trees on your small property? And the answer is I grow them close together, and I prune heavily, and I select for small varieties. So as we go through this area, the first thing we're going to see is this tree right in front of us, which is, I should say, this wasn't originally where the gate was. When we moved to a 3-system paddock, we added this area of fencing. So this tree, you didn't used to walk right into a tree. The gate used to be in a different spot. So not perfect design. We're kind of adapting as we go along. So this first tree is a medlar. As we walk under my beautiful Clematis montana here, we come into this medlar tree. I'm going to move the gate here. Medlar, Mespelis germanica, is a wonderful old fruit tree. Has white flowers. I did a video on it. I'll link right here. I did a video on it a while back. It is a fruit that is not for everybody, but it's a lovely specimen tree. And if you like the fruit, you really love it, kind of like durian. So it produces these rosehip looking fruit that are brown when they are ripe. And part of the reason I grow medlar is that I want that succession of food throughout the year. This is a tree that is not fussy, tolerates a wide range of weather conditions and soil conditions, and produces consistently. And it produces fruit very, very late in the season. You might consider trying this fruit to see if you like it before you grow it. I think it tastes like raisins and caramel and applesauce. Some people think it is absolutely vile. So yeah, definitely if you can get a chance to try it. But even if you don't, it's a lovely ornamental specimen tree in your yard. Pretty shape, pretty flowers, pretty leaves, small tree. Okay, moving on from there. We have a Negrón fig here. So in this part of the orchard, I think about, we're now facing south. So the plants down at that end are shorter and they get taller as you move toward me because we're moving north. So the plants at the back are tallest to capture the sun. So this Negrón fig here is taller than the plants in front of it, and it is very happy. I did a video on figs. I will link it here as well. Figs in Oregon don't need to be protected in the winter. You may get some dieback if it's very cold. So see, like I said, it's a jungle in here. I'm going to tuck around. So Negrón figs, let's get a look at them here. They produce 2 crops a year. They produce a breba crop and a main crop, and you can see some of the young figs here. And they are a beautiful small purple fig with a red center that is not prone to splitting. This is, I think, if you have room for one fig, this is the fig I would grow in terms of a hardy fig that does well in Oregon. Next to my Negrón fig, I have a Siberian pea shrub, which is currently being propped up because the rain has flopped it over. You notice that it is denuded below chicken height. And as I crouch here, there is a chicken that likes to get in my lap. So if she gets noisy, she's here begging to get up in my lap and be held like a baby. Siberian pea shrub is a nitrogen fixing perennial with edible peas on it for the birds. So it is here as a nitrogen fixer and as poultry food. Siberian pea shrub will get quite big if the chickens don't kill it first. It is a shrub that needs full sun. So most nitrogen fixers like full sun. So this is young. It's a 2.5-year-old plant. Moving in, next we have my bees. So I'm just going to back up here. So I am in regular clothes. I'm not in a bee suit, and I'm currently standing less than 2 feet from the bees. They're not going to bother me. I have very gentle colonies. This is a cathedral hive. And over here, I have a Kenyan top bar hive where they enter at the back. So you can see the bees coming and going from the back there. In between the two of them, I have a pink champagne currant, which I kind of did some hack job pruning on it to move my beehives around. So please excuse the fact that it is not in the normal beautiful fan shape. So as we get down here on the ground, I'm gonna, hello chickens. Hello girls. This is John Cena, who wants in my lap. She's a Brahma and just a wonderful chicken. Big fan of the Brahmas. So if you look down here on the ground, you can see that there's chickens and ducks, and there's not a lot of understory plants. So when you have a rotational system, the chickens will strip everything low to the ground, even if you rotate them through. So if you look at this gummy berry, you can see the leaves start here, and down here there's nothing. So chickens, when you have your chickens in your orchard, you can't get the traditional permaculture concept of a guild where you are growing a root crop and low herbaceous crops. You can't get that. The chickens will destroy it. So thinking about, again, flexibility, permaculture design is a tool to guide you in sustainable, healthy garden design and design for life. but it isn't something you need to cling to rigidly. It's okay to say, in this instance, I need the disturbance of my chickens. My chickens need a home. I'm not going to be able to grow low-growing things they love to eat. So what can you grow? Siberian pea shrub is one. What can you grow that they won't kill? Currants are another. I'm going to get into some other low-growing things in the next video, but just be aware this looks more like a mature forest where under the understory is leaf litter and wood chips and not so much small plants. Now, when I kick these guys out of here, what will happen is I will throw down seeds and a lot of things will sprout, and when I put them back in, they will have lots of young things to eat, but I can't keep a permanent understory of plants in here. It just doesn't happen. This is an apple tree that I took out because it was diseased. You can see it's trying to live. I'm going to cut it back some more. So there used to be a really big apple tree here and it's no longer here. Just had too many problems. Okay, standing up. Hello, chickens. Next to my medlar, I have a suckle pear. I did a video on growing pear trees, particularly in Oregon. Find it right here. It's loaded with pears. I really, really love the suckle pear. It is a self-fertile, fire blight resistant, delicious pear. It's also called a sugar pear or a honey pear. Small dessert pear. Also great for canning because it's small. It fits into a jar, whole or cut in half. Great pear tree. So you can see the shorter tree, the little bit taller medlar behind it, the taller Negron. So I'm letting the sun filter back. So I keep these dwarf trees and I keep them pruned short and I keep them close together and I let the sun permeate to the back. Next to my pear tree, I have a gummy berry. And you just saw chickens snacking on it. I grow this plant because it is a nitrogen fixing perennial shrub. The leaves, flowers, and fruit are all edible for chickens. Fruit and the seed inside is edible for people. Just like my Siberian pea shrub over here, which will one day be big and lush if the chickens don't get to it first. The gummy berry needs full sun. Those pioneer species need full sun. Nitrogen fixing species generally don't like shade. So this plant, as I come through and try and get through my paths, it tends to overgrow. And my strategy is just to reach up and clip the whole branch loaded with fruit and drop it to the ground, and that becomes chicken feed. And then the chickens scratch and they eat the leaves and they eat the berries and they break it up and it breaks down and releases nitrogen. And as you prune back this plant, the roots die back and they produce nitrogen. So this is a great, great plant. Multi-use plant, bee food, people food, chicken food, nitrogen fixer, mulch plant. Great, great plant. Does have thorns on it on the young shoots, so just be careful. And by thorns, I mean big honkin' thorns, kind of like this next plant we're going to talk about as I cut my way back through the garden. This next plant also is thorny. It's not the most beautiful tree in the world, but it is one that I really, really like, and that is a Shropshire damson. It's an old type of plum. Produces these very small plums, so here for comparison. And it does have thorns like its wild ancestors. So Shropshire damsons are grown traditionally for their jelly and for making brandy or like a gin, kind of like sloe gin. You use them instead of sloes. They're a traditional hedgerow plant in England. I really, really like the fruit off of them. I don't get enough yet to make a batch of jam. You have to be very patient. They're kind of an ugly shaped plum tree, so I have it kind of hidden, but they're very slow to start producing heavily, but you're looking 15, 20 years into this plant, it will produce like gangbusters. So you got to be patient. So it's not the plum for everybody, but I value it and I can't buy damsons in the store. So last section of this, I have a shed here, which we have made out of free stuff. Oak industrial pallets and free roofing and things like that. And the water sheets off of this and collects in a pond right here, which I have some fencing stored back here, pond, which is a clawfoot bathtub. You can see it through all of my daylilies. Daylilies are a good chicken-proof plant. They provide a good screen. So there's the pond, which is currently drained because what happens is I let it rain heavily, fill up, ducks bathe in it, poop in it. The water becomes yucky, nitrogenous waste in it. I pull the plug, the water runs downhill, watering my fruit trees. So I am collecting rainwater, using the rainwater. It becomes fertilizer. I'm using it a second time to water my fruit trees. So I get many passes, many uses out of one flush of rainwater. And as it runs downhill, it passes by this gumi, flushes nitrogen from this gumi downstream into my pear tree. And all of this results in more abundance with no effort on my part except pulling the plug on the bathtub and then replacing the plug and letting it refill. Gravity and the ducks do all the work for me. So that's a look at the first section of the poultry paddock. I hope you will share this video with your friends who are interested in backyard orcharding and permaculture and smart garden design. And I hope that you will come back tomorrow for the second part of the tour. We will break this up into 3 videos to cover the poultry paddock, and then I have more garden after that. So please tune in, and thanks for watching.